Hello, and today on Ensign I'm going to be taking us through the software and showing us some of the latest features that we've added into our most recent update. So the one that I want to start off with is just on our Create Job menu screen. So now we have the ability to actually set up different job categories, and we can go through and we can select these, which will then come through with their own set prefix and their own unique job code number. So as you can see there, as I flip between the two, my prefix letter at the start changes as well as my job codes. However, with this function enabled, that doesn't necessarily mean that you still can't overtype the job code. You still have all of the original functionality that was initially there. But if you would actually like to sort of set this up so you have the ability to use the job category, then what we can do is just come over to the Tools section and then into System Preferences. And then from there, all you'll have to do is change over to the Miscellaneous Default tab up here along the top. And what you'll want to do is just make sure this tick box here is ticked to enable the job sequence categories, and then you'll be able to go into the set up job number sequence. Now once you are within here, you will then be able to name your types of projects in whatever way you seem fit. You will then be able to set your own prefix code, which you can actually just set up to however you need it. I've just necessarily just used letters just to keep it in line with the names that I'm currently using at the moment in time. And then you can actually set the next job code it's got to create for you. So this is actually really helpful with being able to sort of categorize and store your jobs a little bit differently. So it's definitely a feature I would look into. So one of the other features that we now actually have available to us is actually within one of our projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and create our job for us. Obviously we all know what we need to do here in the job name and within the client breakdown and everything else that's on here. If we are a little bit unsure on here, please feel free to go and look at some of the other tutorial videos that we've created. But anyway, moving forward now to show off one of the other new functions, which is actually something which is really helpful. And what that ability is for us is to save our own section templates for the jobs, so we can use them in future jobs, and we can set up multiple different ones that we would like. So this one is actually already going to be enabled for everybody. We don't have to go through and adjust any of the settings to activate this function. But basically what we got down here is two new boxes. Now we have the ability to save our section template as well as the ability to import other section templates that we've already previously created. So if you do want to actually save your section templates, just make up your project in the exact order that you would like it to be, and then simply hit the Save Structure Template. And then to just give you a little bit of an example, if you were to actually use this functionality, we can just hit the Import Section Template button. And I've actually already in my import export folder created another little folder called section templates. As you can see, I have a couple of different sort of examples in here that I can use. So I'm just going to use this one for today and click open, and there we are. It's already loaded that all in almost instantaneously. So that's already been imported, and as you can see, I can just open it up globally and we can see all of my various different sections in there as well. So if we did want to make another sort of alternative of this, we could actually go through and adjust any of the settings and then save that as its own structured template for future use. So this next functionality is something that's only really going to be applicable if you do actually have multiple different versions of the Ensign platform. What I mean by that is you might have the electrical software, the mechanical software, and the ductwork software. So one thing that people want to do is to be able to have the exact same client options across all three of the systems without having to create them in all three. So now what we do actually have the function of, if we go up here to Tools and then go into the customer file, we have the ability to import and export our client list sort of / address book, which is just nice and simple. We can simply go in here, we can either export the information or we can import the information. So say for example you have all of your clients and your address book set up literally in the electrical, we would just export it out of here, load up the mechanical, go to the same place in there and select the import option to move all the clients across, and then you would have direct copies of that without having to sort of go back through and set up all the clients again and again repetitively. One of the other features that we can actually sort of utilize into the system a little bit more, and this is going to be a bit more of a preference on a sort of per user basis, but what we actually have the ability to do now is when you actually load up the software, decide what screen that you would like to load into. Whether we'd like to load into the standard with create, amend, delete job and all of your tools options up here along the top, or whether you would honestly prefer to just load directly into your amend job screen, as we've now added a create job button here, so you could instantaneously just jump straight back into one of your quotations that you were working on previously, or just be able to create a new one up there at the top. If this is something that you would like to have in the system, once again this is just a system preferences. So what we can do is just go tools, system preferences, miscellaneous default, and then all we have to do is change it from stay on main menu to automatically switch to the amend job screen. So when all of it loads up, like I said, you'll just load directly into that amend job menu. That's definitely going to make things a little bit easier for some people. Now, the next functions that we're going to be discussing is primarily only for the mechanical, electrical, and generic users of the estimating software, as they have the ability to use cost codes. Now, if you currently don't actually have cost codes set up in your software, but it is something that you would actually like to utilize, then you can simply turn that on by going into Tools, System Preferences, and then coming over here to the cost code tab up here at the top. So just go into there and simply turn on the cost code function. And alongside that, if you would actually prefer to mark it up on the job, you can just select that tick box there. But in any case, let me show you what we have made alterations to. So when you actually go to set up your cost codes after turning it on within the setup menu here, what we can actually do now in the cost code descriptions is you'll go through and you'll create your various different cost codes up as you have done previously before in the past, and you actually have the ability to import and export this now. So if you did want to actually, if you only had a few set up, for example, you could export it all out, expand off of that, and then import all of that information directly back into the system. And then what we can now do, rather than having to type in those references against all of your various different items, as you can see over here on the right hand side, we've actually made it into a little drop down menu, so you can actually see all of the cost code and the cost code descriptions that you've already preset in that menu I was showing you a moment ago. This will abolish the problem of accidentally mistyping or anything like that and not actually knowing where the item is. So that's something that can be done, and this can still be done on the component type level, the manufacturer type level, as well as being all the way down at component level, the ones which you actually set up when you are in a project. And we've actually also done a very similar thing with regards to the free types, where it can actually still just work off of the drop down menu and you can have these all preset. So let me just quickly show you what it's like once you've actually got one set up in a project. So here's the example job we made a second ago. We'll just quickly hop into there. Okay, and we'll just go to the takeoff page, and I will go to an area where I know that this is actually set up. So if I go to my cable section, I'm going to go for Prism, cable, and the plus. So as we can see over here on the right hand side, I've actually already got my cost code assigned into here, and we can see all of that there. And if I would actually like to apply a different cost code to this particular range, if the product individual one, all we do is we simply double click on the cost code box, and then we can actually just come here to our cost code drop down menu and select it if we did actually want this particular item to sit inside a different cost code category. So this really does make things a lot nicer and a lot easier. I know that isn't necessarily the right thing, but just for the example purposes, as you can see, it's set up there. So that's how you can actually go through and use our new cost code drop down menu. If you do have any questions with regards to any of this information, please don't hesitate to give us a call or just email our support team. Okay, thank you guys. Bye bye.